I am so glad that I am not alone. Okay, that I'm not the only one with my hand in the air going, anybody feel me? Anybody? No, you are responding. I'm so happy that you're responding. And actually, a couple of your emails have cracked me up. You're able to laugh through your pain. And I'm glad about that. And some of you are not able to laugh through your pain. You're not even able to walk through it right now. And you've thought a lot about who you are. In the last story that I shared of the man in the convenience store, and you've thought a lot about it, and you've realized that you are letting every single thing take the place of addressing what is in front of you. So many of you are the cashier. You see the hurt, you just don't have time to feel the hurt. And the others of you are the walking wounded. That's life, isn't it? The other day, I have to tell you the story. The other day we were in a mall and they have these virtual reality cocoons. I don't know what they are. Okay, they're these fancy chairs. They're like cocoons. And then you get in them and you put on the virtual reality glasses. And so it was crazy at the mall, and I was sick of the crowds. And so my daughter says, can I do the virtual reality? And normally I would be like, no, that costs money. But my feet hurt, and I thought, well, if I could sit in one of these cocoons while she did it, then it was a payoff for both of us. So she gets to pick which one she wants to do. You can do the roller coaster. You can do the dinosaur. She gets to pick. See, we don't get to pick our pain. Our pain just happens to us. But anyway, back to my story. She got to pick, right? And she put on the virtual reality glasses, and it started, and she picked a scary one, or scary for her. And she got about 30 seconds into it and ripped those glasses off her head and said, Mama, you want to take over from here? It's virtual reality, not real reality. In real reality, you don't get to stop. You don't get to hand it over to somebody else and say, hey, honey, you want to take it from here? It's yours. It's all yours. It's real. It doesn't stop. What in the world do we do now? You know, behind every embellished eyelash extension on my face, and behind every tattooed eyeliner and naturally blonde piece of hair that you see are some real scars. I may look a bit gaudy on the outside, but I'm pretty beaten up sometimes if you look really closely. I have scars all over my body. Maybe not physically, metaphorically, all over. I have one on the back. A friend did that one. I have one over here where I hurt my family. I have one down below where my family hurt me. I have one from my husband. And I have one from what I did to my husband. I have one from financial issues, body image issues, scars all over me. Let me tell you a little bit about my scars. Look at them closely, and really you barely notice that they're there. See, when treated properly, scars can heal over quite nicely. There's oils and ointments you can put on them, and not every scar has to be an ugly one. Sometimes the most beautiful scars can tell the most poignant story. But what lies underneath the scar, where the skin has healed over and it is reconnected? What lies underneath? See, that's what has to be treated. That's what has to be dug out. That's what has to be dealt with, that infection. So I received an email from a lady who said, Melissa, you know the reason why I've never taken any kind of course or any kind of class on pain and heartache? Because I don't want to talk about it. Love. Okay. Alrighty then. Well, you don't have to talk about it. Nobody said you did. But I want to know, how is your scar? Has it healed nicely, or is it still open and festering from the fact that you won't deal with it? We can't do that. We have to go inside and take out what is killing us, what is rotting us, what is infecting us. We don't have the luxury of just not addressing it. This isn't a virtual reality. You're not 11. You don't get to hop off the ride. You can't be scared of what your pain will bring up. What are you going to do when it's brought out into the open? What are you going to do once it is brought out and you have to deal with it? That's where we're going. That's what we're going to talk about. You want to let it fester? You want to let it rot? That's on you. I say we clean it out and we move on from there. So here's the part of my video where I share some information with you about my friend Whitney without first asking Whitney if it's okay. Yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine. That's the problem with being my friend. You never know when I'm not going to share some of your information. Now, Whitney's wonderful. She's a very close girlfriend of mine. I don't think she would mind, but I want to tell you a little bit about Whitney. I began a course on pain, and Whitney came in to take the class. I have taught this class a lot to hundreds of different women, but Whitney, when she walked in the class, she was breathtakingly beautiful, number one. You may see her later in another video, if I can talk her into it, but she's just really tall. She's a tall drink of water and really slender, and she just speaks with this, I don't know, it's like really Southern Belle. I'm not sure what it is, but I wish I had it. But she's just beautiful. She just is a beautiful person, and she just kind of radiates. And yet, when she sat down at the table, she just kind of folded like this. And that was Whitney. I kid you not. How could someone is so pretty and be such a shell of a person? So we go through this course on pain, and we go through this course on tragedy and heartbreak and what it means and how to heal and how to not be led around the nose by our emotions and our feelings, but rather to call them what they are and take control of them. And Whitney would speak, and every time she spoke, you were almost like, huh? I mean, she just almost spoke with a whisper. And Whitney would say things like this. At night, I have to get down on the floor and wrestle with my girls because I have 3 daughters, and that's really what a dad should be doing with them, wrestling with them, but he left. And so we put that puzzle piece together that her husband had left. Well, long story short, Whitney was about a year into being a single mom with 3 girls. Whitney could barely afford the apartment that she was living in. And she was just a shell of a person, because one day he had walked home after many years of marriage and said, all right, see ya, I'm done. And he had gotten his stuff and he had left. And I'm sure there were numerous reasons of which I won't go into, but he left, and there she was, a single mom. And she was this shell of a person. And over time, I saw Whitney begin to change. Oh, it was a little bit at a time. Oh, it was a tiny increments. But over a while, the shell of a person began to sit up a little bit straighter, and Whitney began to talk a little bit louder, and Whitney began to have her shoulders held back when she talked and when she walked into a room, and she could speak differently, and her emotions weren't always on the outside of her. They weren't always dictating how she stood and how she carried herself and how she spoke, and they certainly weren't dictating her story anymore. Whitney's story began to change. Whitney began to feel more confident about her role as mother and father, and Whitney began to certainly feel more confident about herself as a daughter of God, and she began to carry herself differently and speak differently, and she got more confidence. Whitney began to ask different questions, not why did he leave, but what do I do now that he's gone? What will make the biggest difference in my daughter's life? And when Whitney fell into this cesspool of pain, and she sunk all the way to the bottom, she had time to think as she was going down that when I reach the bottom, will I stay there? Gurgle, 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 and let the life drain out of me? Or will I push off the bottom, and will I make something of my pain? I wish Whitney was here to tell you about it. Whitney isn't in my class anymore. Whitney now teaches that class. I got busy and I travel and speak now, and Whitney took the class over. She now teaches it. That's right. You heard me right. Now women sit under Whitney's teaching and under Whitney's leadership. And let me tell you how beautiful Whitney looked when she walked down the aisle in a brand new wedding dress and her daughters followed behind her with a sign that said, "Hey Dad, here comes the bride." Because Whitney was able to restore a marriage that she had played a part in as well for it breaking up. And he began to come to church and he began to look at her and he said, "Who is she? Who is this person?" He fell in love with a completely different woman. He fell in love with a completely different Whitney. And they are remarried today and happier than they have ever been. I certainly don't promise that any time you're going to spend with me, you're going to get remarried and it's going to be great. But I do tell you this. Your world will shift and it will change. And you will find that there is so much life when you take out what is hurting and you deal with it. And you shift your focus and you shift your mind, and then you end up, taking my class from me and actually being a lot better at it than even I was. That's Whitney's story. And it can be yours. Y'all, my husband and I got into it the other day. I'm talking, it was a doozy. Okay, so here's what happened. I was out of town and I got lost. Shocker, right? There was a lot of interstate reworking, construction, and so I veered off and decided to take a country road that the GPS was telling me to take. But then it got me so far out in the country, I lost all my connection. And so my GPS quit working and I didn't know where I was. Cannot connect. I was able to call him. And when I got him on the phone, he just kept saying, "Well, where are you?" Well, I don't know. Well, what's around you? That's the problem. Literally nothing is around. There's not a Shipley's Donuts around you. There's not a Burger King around you. There's not a mall. No, there's not. Well, okay, where are you? I said, "I don't know, fool. If I knew where I was, I wouldn't be lost." And we tore it. We tore into it. I think the last thing he said to me was, "I hope there's a Hilton where you are, because you're going to need to get one and stay in it." I mean, it was a thing, man. So anyway, isn't that the question that we all want to know? Like, where are we? Like, how can we get to point B if we've not even addressed where we are? Where are you? Whitney knew she was broken. She knew she was lost. She knew she was hurting. She knew she was the man laying in front of the cash register. Where are you? Just out of curiosity, where are you? See, you've got to know where you are. You have to address that. You have to address that pain. We can't move on from there until you are clear on that. Interesting, the other night I was doing homework with my kids, and by doing it, I mean I was just sitting there like this. But they were at the table, and my son was having a little trouble with his reading. He has just a little trouble reading, and, not terrible, but enough that I want to, pull my hair out by the roots. And he was having some trouble, and my daughter says, "Mom, just give him a break. I can't do long division." Just don't be so mad at him, Mom. I can't do long division. This is what she says. This is her, her thought process. And I said, "Remy, let me tell you something. You are doing that is a lesson in futility, what you're doing. No, at no point in your life is someone going to walk up to you and say, 'Tell me what 4792 is divided by 113. It's never going to happen. Nobody's going to, you're never going to have to do long division, okay? Not as long as you got an iPhone. And yet reading will constantly come up. Like, you can't outrun it, okay? You're going to have to read. He's going to have to learn to read. But thank you, child. It's really no different than pain. It's going to happen. It's going to come up. It's going to keep happening. So let's discuss it. Where are you? Is there anything around you? What does it look like? What does the landscape look like where you are? Okay. Are you a hermit holed up in your house? Some of you may laugh at that, but let me tell you, there are people like that out there. I was like that. I was laying in my bed for 24 hours a day, days and days and days on end, not bathed, not showered, angry at the world. Is that you? Where are you? What is the landscape? Look outside. Tell me what it looks like. Have you gotten up? Have you eaten? Are you mad at the world? Can you not find a date or a friend because no one can stand to be around you? Are you angry? Are you bitter? Or are you so happy on the outside and so fake on the outside that you're just going to keep those balls in the air, keep them going, keep those plates spinning? Which one are you? Well, let's figure out where you are so that we can get to where we're going. I have a girlfriend who was just commenting to me the other day about her dry skin. I'm going somewhere with this. She said, we were just having coffee, and it's not like we were, solving the world's problems, but she clearly, but she said her skin was really dry. Now, here's the thing. When a woman tells another woman her skin is dry, we're like devastated for her, right? We're like, oh my gosh, what have you tried? I've tried this lotion. Have you tried that lotion? I tried this brand. Do you like that brand? I got a coupon for that brand. Do you want to go? We go, and she's like, I know. And then I tried my oils, and then I just stayed away from gluten for a couple of days. And then I thought maybe I needed to get hooked up to an IV. What the heck is she talking about? I don't know. But yeah, so she thought she was like dehydrated or something. And as I was forming my notes to come and shoot this video for you guys, I got tickled at that. I got tickled at the lengths we will go to for dry, ashy, patchy skin. But we won't even determine where we stinking are on the scale of our pain. See, you can pull out all your oils and your home remedies. Don't be writing me and telling me something about oils. I love them too. But you can remove gluten from your diet. You can try to find out why it is your skin is so dry and ashy, but by all means, don't figure out where your pain comes from, what caused it, what got it there, and where you are. Don't figure out that now. Don't figure out that station in life. Does that make any sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. We've got somewhere to go, guys. We've got a life to live. We've got people to touch and reach and influence. We've got children who are looking at us. We've got little girls we are trying to raise and boys that we are trying to make into brave men. It is no time for you to not know where you are in order to get where you are going. Do not spend more time removing gluten from your diet than removing pain and infection from those places that have hurt you. Let's figure that out. Okay, so forgive me, but I have to look at my notes for this one because it's a quote and I want to make sure I don't miss a word. I came across this quote a couple of months ago and I saved it. I loved it. I've written it down. I can't believe I don't even have it memorized, but maybe I'm just a little nervous. But here's what it says. You ready? The pain is your greatest opportunity for transformation. And your transformation is your greatest story to the world. It goes on to say, keep living, keep transforming. It's what makes you most beautiful. And I do love the end part, but I especially love the beginning. Let me read it to you again. The pain is your greatest opportunity for transformation, and the transformation is your greatest story to the world. Do you hear that? In the end, so our pain becomes our transformation, and our transformation becomes our story to the world. Okay, so let me take you from the very beginning to the very end. Your pain can change the world. It can also burn it down. Okay, it can also run people off. Or you can use it to transform your life and eventually change the world. Maybe not literally the world. Maybe you will never be president and you will never get an Academy Award. Maybe you will never spend one day on social media because you don't like it. But maybe it would change your marriage, and it would change your family, and it would change the lives of your children who are looking at mom and who are looking at dad and who are looking at their aunt and who are looking at their cousin and their big sister and wondering, why can't you heal? Why won't you heal? Maybe your transformation isn't just for you. It's for them. So now what? So where do we go from here? Well, let me tell you what I've been waiting to tell you. I have written a course called, big shocker, ready? This Sucks, but God is Good. And I have shared this course with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. I mean, that might sound a little bit braggadocious, but I'm just that freaking proud. Like I've shared it with almost countless women and men. And it has changed their life. And it ain't because I'm that great of a teacher, but because that God is that great of a safari guide. He just really, really is. And he's never left you. And he's just waiting for you to realize that. And because I believed that the opportunity to transform my pain into something greater could change the world. And wouldn't you know it? It's doing it. Maybe a small part of it, maybe not the entire world, maybe not the universe. But in my neck of the woods, it's changing hearts and lives. I want to do it with you. I want us to do it together. Every person I've ever done it with has been the better for it. You will absolutely love it. You're not alone in it. I'm going to be right there with you, teaching you, sharing with you, opening up some of the hardest and darkest spots in my life in order to help you reach yours. We're going to do it together. I'm proud of what I have to offer you. Now, it's not going to be offered until the end of time, but it is right now. And I would love for you to be a part of it. Heck, I would love for you to grab a couple of your girlfriends and let them be a part of it with you, or your mom. I've had mom and daughters do it together. I've had twin sisters do it together. Find somebody to do it with you, or just do it with me. Just do it by yourself right there. Like I said, it won't be offered forever, but it's being offered right now. And there is no better time to transform your pain into something greater. There is no better time than walk with your shoulders out and your voice up and your chin out. There is no better time to heal than right now. And I can't wait to do it with you. Be sure and stay tuned for our next video. Watch it. Watch it by yourself or with a bunch of other people and learn how you can be a part of this life-changing course. Yeah, life-changing. I said that. I think it is life-changing. And how you can take the pain out from inside and you can watch it heal over beautifully into a scar that you get to carry with you and tell about for the rest of your life. And maybe it will change the world. So stay tuned for our next video. It's how you can learn more about This Sucks, God is Good. Because I'm sorry, I absolutely refuse to do this without you.